Did you hear Justin Trudeau say, I am a Zionist? Slap my knee. He took the words right out of my mouth. Oh, God. Is he trolling? We have a great show for you today. I discuss with my American friend the current tension between Canada and America. And, we discuss how to always win a fight and what really happened during the pandemic. Poet, painter, farmer, my friend Sean.
Yes.
Oh. It's funny, I have like that same red chair. I was like, frig, if I was sitting in that, we'd be like, are they in the same place? With different
Yeah.
with friggin' like green screen backgrounds?
Yeah.
That's
Brother.
so funny. It's nice to
Dude,
see
it's
you.
so good to see you. The Outlaw Buddy Smiles, man.
I
In
feel
the
like I
flesh.
I feel like I haven't done one of these with you in literally like 2 years. I think that's
Yeah.
how long ago it was when we did that last one.
Yeah, it's been a few years now. And, I'm really glad you came out here to meet with me today. I didn't have any ulterior motives, nothing planned. If you just hang on, give me just 1 sec real
All
quick. I
right,
just
right.
gotta let me just do this real quick. Freeze! You stupid Canadian! You fell right into me and Trump's trap!
You like
Put
my
the
hat?
maple syrup in the bag! Oh, shit!
You're out of bullets.
I forgot the bullets.
That's so
Ah,
good.
that was a joke.
I love it.
That was
You like my hat? It says Canada's already great, right?
I agree.
I got it in 2016, just before Trudeau was elected.
Oh, God. I mean, it took 2 minutes before Trudeau got brought up.
Oh yeah, I know, right? I try to not say his name like he's that fucking guy from Harry Potter, but sometimes it slips out.
He who shall not be named. He's the Voldemort of Canada. I love him. He's my favorite twink.
He's okay.
I've got a couple, twinks. I got a twink scale, and he's kind of like top twink for me.
Yeah, he's like he almost turns into a bear somehow, but he's more of like a guy that you would imagine in England in like 1600, just with a bunch of other guys that kind of look like him, and they would just go in the streets and assault people. That used to be a thing. Like the upper class people would just go around. They had a thing called the Hell Club, and it was actually a Hunter Thompson wrote a piece on it. And they would go around just beating up random folks in society. They would stretch people's mouths, pull their ears. All that stuff used to actually happen. And people are like, "Oh, I'll stretch your ears out." They used to actually do it. And I could picture him being one of those like guys, like an aristocrat that just goes down and like throws water on the homeless so they freeze to death that night.
Yeah, he does. He's got kind of like a similar. I feel a similar way about like Gavin Newsom. Like he seems like the type of guy who would go around and just like like eat food in front of somebody like starving. Just do like very petty stuff.
That's so good.
Oh man, it's really good to be here, man.
I'm really glad to do this. Yeah, likewise.
You're my favorite.
I've got some questions. Pretty much that's how we're gonna do this. It's just the simplest questions imaginable.
Perfect.
Because that's what I try. I'm doing all this like try and get my interviewing skills better. So that's why I'm very grateful that you're helping me out with that.
I'm here for it.
Well, no, and it really helps me to speak with people who aren't in Canada because pretty much Canadians, they're kind of shocked these days or afraid. So it's like literally like they'll be like, "Gay," and they're like, "Oh, did you hear that, guys?" Like they're that level of like afraid. And it's
and we have that here too. It really depends on the circle you're in, the part of the country you're in. Where I grew up up north in Cleveland, Ohio, if you tried to question certain historical narratives, or if you said something that could be, construed as any of the taboos, the racist, the homophobic, any of that, people were very, very quick to police you. You had to tiptoe a lot, and I got really good at being able to talk about controversial things with people who aren't receptive to it because I had to, right?
Yes.
But then when I moved to Tennessee in 2020, I realized really quick that I didn't have to do that as much down here, and I think a lot of it is not necessarily so much to do with like the South and Southern people in general, but the circle that I'm in down here is a lot of homeschoolers, a lot of ex-Amish, and I really think that's the big difference. In public school is where you get programmed. That's where you get the message of how you're supposed to react to things.
Yeah.
And then homeschoolers don't really get it because it's their parents. Their parents aren't really trying to do that.
No, exactly.
The state tries to do it to kids at public schools.
Yeah, Yannick and I are definitely gonna homeschool for sure, by hook or by crook. Even if they outlaw, I don't give a fuck. I'll run away to another country. I'd never, ever in a million years subject my kid to what the world has to offer them now. If we had a time machine, I'd put a kid in the school that we grew up in.
Yeah,
it's not the same world.
Or even a little bit past, because you're 35.
Around there, 35, 36. I never actually remember.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I'm 36, so we're about the same age.
Yeah.
In America, growing up in public school, the "you're bad because you're white" thing was subtle. When I went to school, it was subtle, but we figured it out. We're like, oh, okay, we're the bad guys. I got.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But now it's so overt, and I think that's why you have so many kids like describing as gay now, because I figured it out. Like, why is it in public schools nowadays 30, 40, 50% of the school is describing as gay, when historically it's always been 1% of the population, right?
Yeah.
And it's because we're teaching the kids that if you're white, you're bad, and the only way to not be bad is to be a minority of some type. And if you're white, well, I can't be black, I can't be Jewish. But what I can be is gay, and so that makes
total sense.
So it's incentivizing the children to identify with that, so they can take the original sin of being white off them. So
yeah, and that's how I grew up and I experienced that. It's not that I was gay when I was young or acted gay, but I acted emo, right? That was almost like a precursor to the next thing, and it was
that was pre-gay.
I didn't have a dad. My dad left when I was before I was born. My stepdad and my mom lost their house, and then I had to live in an apartment. All the things happened to me that are the traditional things that make a person gay. But what it did is it just made me associate with gay things, like being, you know what I mean, like being in punk bands and even
artistic.
But the problem was I never quite fit in. You see, because I'm more like the leader of the Hells Angels than a guy who fucking, you know what I mean, cares about people's feelings. So I'm really good at art, though. So I'd be in these circles doing my art, and then I say something, and I'd be like, what? What are you guys, fucking weak? And they'd be like, oh, and then now I'm exiled from my city I grew up in. All, and not even legally or literally, but in all social circles, I'm completely blackballed. But you know how you were saying you grew up in Ohio and you're around more, leftisty kind of people. But when you moved down there, it was almost like more people like you, right?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say more like me, because there's not a lot of people like me out there. But I will say less programmed, less knee-jerk reactions. They
more relatable
go and say, "Hey, I wonder if the good guys really did win every war," and they're like, I wonder too. That's actually an interesting thought. And where I'm from, where they jump down your throat right away.
Yeah. Were they more pro-war in Ohio, but liberal and less pro-war in the South, but more capable of war, do you find? Or were they actually literally anti-war in Ohio more?
I see. The thing is, it's funny. I mean, if you're typically those people, the people who are more anti-war are the ones that are more capable of the war, but it'd be hard for me to say exactly. There's definitely an anti-war sentiment. I grew up during the Bush era, right? I remember thinking how bad Bush was, right? He's this guy's bad. He's terrible, and we're in these endless wars, and 9/11's not what they told me it was, and I'm just against it all. And a lot of people up there, it really is that traditional, that NPC kind of thinking. They just
NPR listening, NPC thinking.
And I loved NPR growing up.
Me too.
I loved NPR.
Yeah.
Like, they paint a picture. You listen to the sounds. You felt like I'm in this marketplace in Southeast Asia. Oh, it was. I wish they made radio of that quality and content. Without the bias, but you can't have it both ways.
Well, it's funny you say you don't fit in down there either, because there's not a lot of people like you. It's like that's what I've been experiencing all my life, because I'll be, mostly liberal. I'm like, I don't want wars. I don't want, I want everyone to eat food. I'm like, we should have two parts of society, the grazing part and the part that wants to work hard. The grazers just make food and like work on a farm and just chill like hippies. And the other guys are like, existentialists and want to go really hard. Then you got, but they don't want that. They want everyone to be like leveled out, right? So it's like, then I'm like, well, then that makes me a fascist. And then I'm like, but no, I'm against it because I don't want everyone to be leveled out. And I believe in exceptionalism. It's like, so each group I've ever tried to sort of go towards, it's like something about me will make them go, what are you, fucking gay? Because everyone's gay to someone, right? Like, I'm suddenly a weed smoker. They're like, well, that's because, you like sucking cocks. And I'm like, what? It's because I have arthritis. They're like, yeah, how could you ever prove that?
You got the arthritis from all the,
Yeah. No, so it's like I've always been an outsider. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
And that's why I say I could be the leader of the Hells Angels more than I could be a fucking trombone player.
That's why we get along. That's why we've always had a connection,
Yeah.
I thank God for COVID and all the bad things that happened.
It woke everyone up.
God uses all bad things for good in the lives of those who believe and trust him, right? And so, 2020 has been such a great way to kind of gauge somebody. There were people who, like me, from day one, said, what is it these tyrants want me to do?
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to wear a mask? I'll never wear a mask.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you want me to take a shot over my dead body?
Yeah.
And literally. And then there were people that were like, oh no, we got to be sensible. We got to do this. This is bad. But then they realized, and then they turned out of it, right? And And that's honorable too.
No,
and then you had the people who have been waiting for it their whole lives and embraced it to their very being, embraced the fear, embraced tyranny and censorship. And those people, whenever I really want to know, I meet somebody and I want to kind of get to know them quick, I just ask them, how was your 2020? What did you do? What did you do in 2020?
Yeah,
How was it?
Yeah.
And
exactly.
not lead them on, not let them know where I'm thinking. And
no,
it's like
exactly.
if they start going, oh man, I go,
No, exactly.
I had a good time. I had lots of fun. I met Buddy Smiles.
Well, that's
met Ryan Burgesson. I met a lot of really cool people.
Oh,
and I'm so grateful for the whole thing.
That's like, it's kind of like embodying a sense of humor. Because a sense of humor, like I've talked about before in other episodes, is kind of a thing that isn't like particular. So it's like good or bad, you're going to like find a way to make the best of it. If you if you don't have that ability, you don't have a sense of humor. It's just that plain and simple. So that's how I look at it. To me, it awoke people who have senses of humor to be their best versions of themselves. And now a lot of us have a little bit of depression and shit, but it's because we're harder on ourselves now. We're like, we have to do better. That depression's telling us, do better, get shit done. You know, where before we were just chilling. We were just like letting it all sort of roll by. You know? And the hardest part for me has been to forgive people who went along with it even at all.
Yeah.
You know, because I was the only person in like my whole city, my whole town, almost the whole country who was against it, who would say don't get the shot, who would do all that, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, so I had a whole world of people against me. So it's hard for me to ever want to invite them back in or, you know, but you got to be forgiving.
You're paying the price for it still.
Oh, yeah,
you still feel that ostracization. You still feel
fully ostracized.
Yeah, you still feel that. You still live that, and you're still dealing with the consequence of it. And I definitely understand that reluctance to forgive. And, you know, some people you shouldn't forgive in the sense that you should forgive them, but you don't need them in your life. That's it. Experience did you a favor by removing them, right?
Yeah, you quietly forgive them.
But I will say this is you got to forgive everybody.
That's it.
And it doesn't mean you have to be their best friend anymore, but you have to. I, at the beginning of it, man, I was like, felt supercharged. I was like, wow, God,
warrior mode.
Yeah, it's like it's time for a fight. I live for a fight, and it's like, God, you let me see. I'm so grateful to not be fooled. And how do you want to use me? Use me, God. You know, and I was so excited. And then, you know, after 6 months, 7 months, 8 months being the only person in Walmart with a face, I saw 2 people in like 6, 7 months that didn't wear the mask. Yeah. And it wore me down and it got lonely. And although I had, you know, community of people online, people like you, really amazing people, I started in my actual life, I got real lonely. I started to feel broken down, and you know, I was starting to get so hateful and angry and spiteful, and you know what it was doing? It was twisting me up and making me into someone that I didn't want to be. And I realized, I had a realization that it's like, I have to forgive these people. I have to try to empathize and understand where they're coming from, because if I don't, it's going to destroy me.
Because you're battling them in your head constantly. You're constantly trying to convince them in arguments in your own head. You're like, but just listen to this, and they're in your head. So it's just. But that's a thinking person. It wears you
down, even when they're not there. They're still there in your head. You know, every time you got to go into a store to get something you need, you're prepared for a fight everywhere you go. You know, it wears you down. But when people don't have God, when people don't believe in an afterlife or God, you have to understand that when someone threatens to take away this life, this world, takes everything you hold dear and threatens to destroy it, that's everything they have. They have nothing else. They have everything that matters to them being threatened, and that's got to be a really scary thing. But for those of us who understand that there is a God, that this life is a test, it's a passing thing, it's not it. You can only threaten to take away so much from us.
Well, exactly.
You can't take away my soul. You can't take away my salvation. You can't take away my God. So, you know, and also at the time, you know, for my friends who got the shots and went along, wear the mask, and I'd be upset with them, I had to think, I realized this, I didn't have a lot. I didn't have money in the bank. I didn't have a job for a lot of 2020. I didn't have a lot for society to hang over my head. So it was easier for me to say, oh, you want to take it all?
Yeah. And a lot more people were acquaintances than that you thought were your friends, but it turns out they're acquaintances in the end.
Yeah.
That's what you learn, you know? But that's great. We've gone over pretty much half my questions. Because I was going to ask you, you came from Ohio. You said that. They actually have a pretty good comedy scene there now. In Ohio.
Ohio is interesting. The thing is, in Ohio, you're going to meet people that are about as generic and about as like factory settings as you can imagine. And then you're also going to meet people like me that are just one-offs and very different. And I thought about why that is. And it's because Ohio, everywhere you go, whether you're in Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati, they're all the same.
Yeah.
The landscaping's all the same. The towns are all the same. The people are very all the same.
Yeah.
And so it either forces you to comply and fit in a mold, or you have to create the uniqueness. You have to create something different. So
yeah.
I'm not surprised that there's a burgeoning comedy scene there.
Yeah, it's funny because I've had a lot of people from just that specific area add me. There, Illinois, like those people seem to like what I'm doing.
Well, I don't know why they wouldn't, because, buddy, like you are, you're like one of those people where it's like I already look at you as this like successful comedian, like you're a celebrity to me, and I feel like you're already that. Just people don't know it yet.
And that's what a lot of people have said to me, and it's those kind words that keep me going. We're smoking cigars? All right. I got mine here somewhere. But I've got Canadian cigars.
Hey, let's talk about the yes sir.
I got a Canadian cigar.
I like that. Yeah, man, it's it's great. I love this. Our countries, we're at odds. We're fighting it out. Canada versus the U.S. And
that's
I got some hot water the other day. I had a lot of your compatriots coming to my profile and trolling me and coming at me. Because I made a comment on a thing. It was this Indian guy, and he said, oh, it's a great bill. It's the best order. We're taking American alcohol off. He was doing a Trump impression. American alcohol off the shelves. And I left the comment. I said, imagine being Canadian and thinking you can outlast the U.S. in a trade war, right?
Or any kind of war of any kind. Like that's just
Yeah, it's just numbers. It's numbers. It's not about the quality of Canadian or an American. It's really just numbers.
I've never lost a fight. I've been in lots of fist fights. You know how I never lost? If I think someone could actually beat me up, I run away. They're not thinking straight. It's simply we're your guy's cool cousin who's just like, dude, we're smoking weed and we're in the forest. We fucking got deers in our yard, dude. Like outside, I have fucking 10 feet of snow. There's snow up my windows. We're just your silly cousin. There's no fight to be had.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if there was a war between Canada and the States, I would go to the front line, turn against the Canadians and go, no. I go, no. We want to exist in the future, don't we? And that's not to say that there's not maybe the best boxer ever comes from Canada. Maybe the best hockey player comes from Canada. Maybe there's one guy from Canada who's a really good fighter. Sort of like Jim Carrey's one of the best comedians ever. But that doesn't mean Canadians are the best ever at everything. That's so crazy.
Yeah, it's the same thing with America. Honestly, I'm a patriot. I'm a patriotic guy. I love my country. I'll fight for my country. But at the same time, I look around at what an American has become, what an American is on average, and I'm ashamed.
Well,
and I say, no, that's not me.
No, exactly.
I don't want to identify with that. I identify with what the spirit of what this country used to stand for and what people used to be like. But no, I love Canada. I think Canada is one of the greatest nations on earth. And I love Canadians. And, if I talk a little trash, it's just because
But that's what we're all about. We've always been talking trash to each other because we're cousins.
I know, and Canadians are like the best trash talkers in the world, honestly. It's
because we don't actually shoot each other. So all we know how to do is fight. So we're just like, la, 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 la. If you weren't shooting each other, you got to have a rifle and be like, and so anyways, it's just like a silly climb because it's obviously being done by the same people who made the pandemic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's a divide and conquer tactic. It's like obviously Canada and the States working together is the greatest allies. Making it the 51st state, I don't know if that's good or bad, but clearly like lowering some boundaries is good. It's like maybe because when I was a kid, you used to be able to just go to the States and you'd show your health card. You didn't need to have your passport on you. My friends would run out of beer, drive to the States, get beer, come back.
Now, why would they do that? Why would they want beer from us?
Because you guys are, more sensible of how you sell things. Mm-hmm. We've always been a bit more communist and like small-minded, where we're like, we close all our stores at 8. Like but some of that's okay. Because like, say you live in a gated community with all people like you want it to be super safe. You want it to be like rules and regulations to keep undesirables from coming in and causing chaos. So Canada used to be just like a nice white gated community. Like that's what it was when I was a kid, and then the university student thinking people got in charge and they started taking revenge on their fathers and the people that, wronged them growing up, the fucking hot girl that didn't like them, the football, quarterback that bullied them. And now they're taking it out on all the straight, white, strong people.
It's very clear that where all that comes from. It comes from a sense of inadequacy. It comes from a sense of a jealousy, and it's funny is like we were talking earlier about like we make these people in our heads and we're fighting against, and it's like that type of person. They never get away from it. They constantly live in that, right? We'll have that in moments when we're in a battle, we'll have that person in our head we're fighting with, but them, they live it every day, every moment. They wake up and they think of that, the jock, he doesn't deserve it. I deserve it. If everyone really knew, I'd be the one that everyone liked, it's the secret king,
Yeah. And everyone's jealous in some way. It's like, I get jealous. Yeah. It's like, if you don't admit you're jealous, sometimes it's the thing that possesses you. It's
you're
like,
lying.
I'll see people like Theo Vaughn, Andrew Schultz, and I'm literally jealous. I'm like, I deserve to be able to do that. Yeah. And it's like a pure jealousy, but I admit it. And then it's like, I get past it and then I can actually like them a bit more. Where for a while, I was like, I fucking hate them. They said they took the vax. Fuck them. Like I was like that for a while. Mm-hmm. But then I learned, well, you can still learn shit from them. Though, don't have this anger. If I want to do comedy, I have to learn from people like that. I can't think, oh, well, there's sellouts because they didn't fucking,
Yeah, they didn't fight and die on the same hill I decided to fight and die on.
Yeah, I had to. I was in Canada. It was either fight and die or disappear.
Yeah. What was done to Canada? Australia, New Zealand, what I saw done to them during COVID made me sick. And, it's why I'm such a good, like a strong proponent of firearms.
Oh, exactly.
There's a in America, there was only so far they could push. Mm-hmm. If they really made it so that you couldn't run your business and you couldn't feed your family, there would be consequences. Eventually, the people in charge, they know. I think the whole thing, in a lot of ways, was to see how far can we go.
Yeah.
And when will things start to break down, and when will there actually be repercussions, right?
Yeah,
but you look at Canada, which I know you guys still have some firearms. It's not completely New Zealand yet.
No, we have native reserves. And on the native reserves, there's giant caches of tons of weapons.
Really? So the natives have a lot of guns?
That's where they all are. Who do you think deals them all? They land private helicopters on the reserves, bazookas, machine guns, everything you could ever imagine. It's all there.
Wow. That's cool.
They're the real libertarians.
I like that. Hey, could I use your platform for a second here so I could officially respond to Mexico and the detractors that are against us deporting?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've heard a lot of I better not see you eating tacos. Mm-hmm. Go pick your own berries and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, here's the thing. I'm an American, and I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to eat tacos. And I'm going to drink Corona. And I'm going to talk with food in my mouth. And be a disgusting slob. And there's nothing you can do about it. You know, I love Mexico. I believe in loving your neighbor.
Yeah.
And it's very clear that that country is under the control of psychopathic narco terrorists, mass murdering, child trafficking animals, scum.
Well, and did you hear about how their president became? They got the cartel to assassinate about fucking 20 people to put a Jewish lady in charge of Mexico.
Shine bomb. It's insane. I mean, it's pretty wild.
Mexicans are all Catholic. They're like, what the hell?
yeah. And their official like policy is like hugs, not bullets, or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard that, but it's literally like something like that, like hugs. It's like, you want to hug the cartels? Could you tell me that you work for them any louder, any clearer? You know, and honestly, I believe in loving your neighbor, right?
Yeah.
And I don't feel like my neighbor's loving me back, but I still want to love them anyways. Mm-hmm. And if we really had, like if this wasn't all a show and like Trump was actually like in charge.
Yeah.
It would make total sense to go and invade Mexico. A little military, we have the greatest military in the world. Mm-hmm. Why are we not drone striking the cartel? Why are we? Their government is completely illegitimate. It's run by narco terrorists. It's on our border. They're killing our babies with fentanyl.
Yeah.
Stuff. It makes perfect sense. 2 weeks, we go in, we clean it up, and then give them their country back. Why would we let our neighbor suffer like that? I can make the argument that would be the humanitarian, that would be the Christian thing to do, is to use our might to go and free them from this these psychopaths.
As people want you guys to do in Ukraine.
Yes.
Even though that's not directly next to you. But see, the thing that I discovered thinking about the exact thought you're talking about recently is that what the cartel simply is their CIA. Mm-hmm. The cartel is their intelligence agency. That's who it is, mixed with the mob, all as one thing. They're mob intelligence, because the mob is the intelligence agency too. They're the ones who assassinate everyone for them. So you see what I mean? So the cartel, that's why it doesn't do it, because the cartel and Mossad and the CIA and Canada's CSIS and fucking all these things work together. Mm-hmm. Right? So that's honestly, why they don't do it.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it doesn't happen, because I personally think you're 100% right. I mean, the cartel is just works for our CIA, our spooks. They're the ones that, obviously if this was a real country, if we were really trying to do what was right, we would take them out, but we don't, because they're the tool, the mechanism used to distribute the drugs, to weaken the social fabric and create the chaos and death that's intended. It's clear. Okay, so real quick, we write infinite Oxycontin prescriptions in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
So that when I was a kid, you could go into anyone's little medicine cabinet and find opiates when I was a kid. Any house, you could open them up, and they wrote all these prescriptions. And then 9/11 happens. We go to Afghanistan. The poppy production had stopped under the Taliban. We reinstated it. Mm-hmm. They started producing 90-something%. And at the same time, we go, oh no, we wrote too many Oxycontin prescriptions. We got to get rid of it. And at the same time, heroin floods our country like never before, right? So the heroin comes in, and these suburban kids who get hooked, they won't do heroin, but if you give them a pill, they'll try a pill. Once they get acclimated, then you take away the pill, and they'll do whatever to feel better. So now the heroin's there. They got us on the heroin, and then heroin's gone. Can't even find heroin anymore. It's all fentanyl and carafentanil. And And I say that this was a plan from the start to kill people, to destroy Western men and Western families.
And at the very least, to make them lifelong customers of the pharmaceutical industry. That's like one level of it. That might be the darker side, the one you're talking about. But I heard this interesting thing. It was about what the devil is, right? And people think the devil is a guy, or they think it's one serial killer, or they think it's something, but it's actually a bunch of people doing tiny little evil things all together until you see the face of evil. So it's like, that's why it's like what makes corporations so evil is that they're considered one person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You see, it's legally
it's like one of those
person.
Pictures where that's made up of all the tiny pictures. You zoom out and then you can see the face.
And that's the devil's face. So it's like people are always like, it's like the cartoons, like the devil's gonna jump out and stab you with a fucking pitchfork. But it actually is a bunch of weaklings. It's not even the person you think. It's not even a Satanist with Satan on his face and fucking being like, wow, that guy's just fucking wild. But it's actually just like a loser weakling being like, check, and a bunch of them doing it, just being like, oh yeah, that'll make more money, I guess. But they don't have to be like completely connected to the whole overall evil. They all play the tiniest little component in, the pharmaceutical industry, the fucking all these industries that exist, like you say, for, the devil wants them all to die because they're the best chance against fighting him, of course. Right? Why do you think they're trying to divide Canadians as hard as possible right now? Because it's like, obviously, we have the best chance of teaming up against evil, right?
Yes. If Canadian men and American men came together and stood as one cohesive group, and had an actual goal of freedom, that they would be in a lot of trouble. I've always said I say, well, white people, they're getting rid of white people, right? And people will go, well, why? What's the conspiracy for it? Like, what's the purpose? Why specifically white people? And it's because it's the only group that if we understood what was happening, if we actually had a mechanism to get truth and get information that wasn't manipulated and controlled, and we understood what was actually happening, we're the only group that, if banded together, could free the world from this conspiracy to enslave every man, woman, and child, regardless of your race or background, right? The Chinese are very well kept under communism,
they're demoralized to the fullest extent possible. They have generational demoralization.
Exactly, and that's a lot of peoples. That's a lot of countries, right? Mm-hmm. But there's something about the European peoples, European men, that we have this ability to suffer tyranny, but only to a certain point. And once you push us past a certain point, we'll give up our lives. We'll die rather than continue to be a slave. And that makes us very dangerous to the people who, control the world. And that's why we have to be poisoned and silenced.
And see, that's why I believe, like, a lot of the things, like, they sort of pit us against are people that would be our better allies. So, like, black people, Native Americans, like, people specifically that they pit us hard against, that they're like, it's black versus white. It's like, if we were working together more, it would make, because they're good, a lot of them. There's a lot of them that are Christians, not Chinese. China is the one country in the world that is actually labeled atheist. It is the one country that's an atheist country. Mm-hmm. Oh, a country of people that believe in nothing. Okay. It's like, that's our ally. It's like, no. Unfortunately, our ally is like Native Americans and black people. And that's why they hate the fact that they like make us be like, this and that, like, between us. Because if somehow we could realize, well, it's like the fucking Native Americans are amazing warriors. It's like the black guys are like tough as nails. It's like the three of our heads together, bam, New World Order's over.
It's done.
So that's why they demoralize those groups to death.
Yes, and I've fallen into that trap. I've fallen into tribalism, and at the end of the day, I just kind of feel like the writing's on the wall. I don't want to be black pilled, but I don't have a lot of hope in saving this world and us beating the bad guys. I actually, from a religious standpoint, think that we're probably not supposed to.
Exactly.
Save us but Christ. And so there's maybe not a lot of point to even trying to save this world. I mean, sure, I'd love to try. I would, but...
Well, we're saving it right now.
Yeah.
And this is saving it. And remember what I told you about the devil? And you said, yeah, like all those little pictures? That's also Jesus's face too, though. You see? Guess what? The devil's just a puppet of fucking God. God pulls the devil's strings too. He's just this little bitch that God uses as a thing to make us stronger. Because when we resist him, we become stronger. You see?
Yes.
The devil's not more powerful or even close to equal to God. He's just another actor in the overall scheme of what makes us what we are.
Yeah.
Is that chicken?
This is very true. And, the devil serves a very clear point. I've been asked before by people who don't believe and want to understand why I believe. And they go, well, if God is all powerful, and he is, and if he's in control, why does he let the devil exist? And I say it's very simple. It's because without the devil, there's no free will.
Exactly.
And God loves you so much that he gives you the option to say no to him. He gives you the option to make your own choice. And so if the devil didn't exist, there'd be nothing to turn away from God to. And like you said, he's a tool. If you're a righteous man, the devil is the gym.
That's right.
That temptation that comes from him, the evil thoughts that come from him to do wrong, right? These are all abilities to build a spiritual muscle and to become a more righteous man and become
exactly close. And it's like when you fear the devil is the thing that it powers him. That's like throwing fucking gasoline into a fire.
Yes.
It's like fear God. Don't fear the devil.
Exactly.
That's what you fear.
And that's something I know very personally. The reason I believe in God is because I believed in the devil first. I realized that Satan was real, that he wasn't just the personification of all the bad things inside people. He wasn't just an excuse we made up to explain ourselves.
No.
He was an actual being outside of me.
Yeah.
That was trying to influence me. And I realized, oh my God, the devil's real. And then my next thought was, oh my God, Jesus must be too. And in that moment, I cried out to God. And I said, God, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were real. If you're there, if you can hear me, please, I need you. Help me now. And that was the first time I prayed with faith in my whole adult life. And that's when God came into my life. And
that's amazing.
So the devil is, very real. And
for sure. And if people don't think that the devil's not real, they just never seen no bad stuff before. If you've seen bad stuff, you can't deny it. Oh, well, that was just a mistake, or they had a bad attitude that day. I've seen people's eyes rolling in the back of their fucking heads, Yeah.
I've seen people possessed by demons. I had a buddy, love him to death, but he kept relapsing. And I was living with him at the time, and he was in the bathroom, and, I'm outside the bathroom. I know what's going on. I'm listening. And I heard my buddy laughing and, like, making a demonic. I heard two voices talking over each other. I heard this crazy demonic laugh, and then like a demonic, like, I don't know what, like a sound. And I heard them at the same time overlapping each other. And there was only one person in that bathroom. And, and if you don't know, to anyone listening, when you do drugs, when you do especially hard drugs, I don't know if weed is the same kind of thing spiritually, but when you're doing heroin, you're doing cocaine, you're doing meth, you are opening up a door and turning yourself into a vessel for demons, and they can walk right in and they gain power over you. The more you lust, the more anger you feel, the more evil emotions and feelings that you allow into your psyche, the more you are feeding demons that are around you, the more you are giving them power and influence over your life. And so, so don't do it. Don't get angry. Don't be sad.
Like what made me stop doing coke back in the day was that I literally felt like it cut my connection to God. You know, it's like, and then you're a hedonist. You're just like a wild person. You're like trying to get laid. You're just like looking for a fight. You're just always on the edge and not giving a shit what happens to the perception of you. You know, but you should care what happens to the perception of you in the eyes of people who are of God. You see? So it's like, and that doesn't even mean Christians, but people that are doing what's right. You know, there's people that don't practice. It's like back in the day, people go to church once a month, you know, and there'd be one preacher in the town. And it wasn't this obsessive thing. I go to church 6 days a week. It's like, okay, but that's not because of God or something, or you need to be with God more. It's just because you need some people around you, you know, and that's fine too, you know, but it's not the same thing necessarily. You know what I mean?
No, and you don't need church to have a connection to God.
No.
But church is a valuable tool that God gives us that we can find community, so that we can, so he can bring people to us, right? God will use that, right? So like my wife, for instance, I wanted to get married. I wanted to meet a good woman. I'd had so much troubles with that in my life. And at a certain point, I said to God, I said, I give it up to you. I'm not going to try. I'm not going to look. I'm not going to try. You know what I want more than anything. You know the desires of my heart. And I'm giving it to you. You have to do it. And you know what I did? I just started going to church. And I went to church every Sunday, picked out a church, said, this one's for better or worse. This is my church. And I go there. And after multiple years of going, this lady shows up at my church. And it's actually a pretty cool story. But God brought her right to me, and just fun thing. We just started dating, and I say, Emily, you know what? I don't know your birthday. Why not tell me your birthday? And just before you do, I can't remember birthdays. I have my own parents' birthdays written down.
Yes.
Because
I'm the same.
They won't stay in here. I can't log them in.
Yeah.
And I said, so I'm sorry, I'm going to ask you like 10 more times, and I'm going to have to write it down. I'm going to forget it. I'm so bad at that. She said, that's fine. That's fine. My birthday's November 23rd, 96.
Okay.
And my jaw drops. I go, what? November 20, like 11/23? She goes, yeah, why? I was like, when I was young in high school, I had a crush on a girl. Her locker number was 1123.
Wow.
No big deal, right?
No
big deal. Nothing ever came of that. But that number haunted me.
Wow.
I saw it everywhere. I look at the clock. It was 11:23. A fire truck would drive by.
Wow.
It was 11:23. I see that number everywhere in movies in my life. I always thought it had some significance. I always thought it maybe had something to do with love.
Wow.
And I tell Emily this, and I go, she's like, what? Like she's not sure to believe me or not. And I go to grab my phone, right?
Yeah.
Because it's been the pin in my phone for years.
Yeah.
And I go to show her it's the pin in my phone, and she grabs the phone out of my hand. And she puts her own birthday into my phone to unlock it. And before I ever met her.
Wow. That is wild.
Yeah, that's a little wink, huh?
No, and I've, like Yannick and me, experienced those kind of things so often that we can't, it's like we need to make a book of them. They just, like, those magic cues are happening in my life, like, every day in so many ways. Like, we were thinking of moving to this town, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're going to move to a new town closer to the border because we're kind of like 2 hours from it now. And I want to be like more like an hour from the border, an hour from Montreal, an hour from Ottawa, so I can do comedy in all three places.
Nice.
So basically, we were thinking of this town to move in. This is town no one's ever heard of, with like 3 houses and blah, blah. We look it up, and it's like notable people from the town, right? So there's a guy who fought in like World War II. There's another person, whatever. And then Norm Macdonald. It's the town he came from.
Really?
That's where he came from, is this town that I was going to move to.
I didn't know he was Canadian.
Yeah, Norm Macdonald's Canadian.
So like all our greats are like Canadians, man.
Norm Macdonald was born in the same town as me. Like, we're from the same city. We grew up in the same place, literally.
Wow.
Like, he grew up in Ottawa.
That's amazing.
Not Ottawa, but around there.
I love Yannicka. Am I saying it
right?
Yeah.
Yannicka, yeah.
Yannicka.
Like Danica, but Yannicka.
I love her. Don't beat me up.
No. Most people do.
She's amazing, and
she's a wonderful person.
You guys are just all stars, man. When I saw you guys come together, I was like, that's it. I knew it when I saw it, and I'm just like, I'm real happy for you two. And you know what? Go and get yourself one of these rings. They don't. It's not that important, but I can't wait to just see the day.
Oh yeah, we already got engaged and all that. I just don't share as much online usually.
I know. I'm more of just like, hey, I did.
Oh no, that's understandable. It's just like I completely design my own online stuff as like my internet presence sort of thing. Yeah. Like I don't have any friends to share with stuff on the internet. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's not like anyone I know from back home or things like that. So it's just like I treat it purely like a little business. And that's the only where I totally understand the other side of it. You know what I mean? I have no judgments of people who share any aspect of their life. I think it's all a kind of writing. You know what I mean? It's a kind of writing. It's a kind of podcasting. It all is sort of a similar, and that's what I've always respected about you the most, because to me, you're how you describe me, where you're someone who is already famous in fucking the astral plane. Your way of presenting things, your fearlessness, and your way of thinking. It's like I feel the same way. I'm like, both of us, it's like this guy belongs in like a gangster movie, or like some movie. Like you could be in a movie about war, like a war, like an Afghanistan war movie.
Yeah,
you're a soldier in that movie. Like you're there too. That's why we get along so well, and we can actually riff together. Where some people I try to talk to, they don't know how to riff with me because they don't know how to riff.
Yeah.
Right, and that's okay. But it's just there's a difference between someone who can talk into a camera and riff, and then a regular, like just an average citizen that's just.
Yeah, it's not second nature to everybody.
No.
You know, I've always had that class clown, you know, like I like it. I like attention. I like making people laugh. You know, there's few things that bring me more joy when I say something and I get a big reaction and people laughing at it.
Yeah,
People have told me my whole life I should be a comedian, and I'm like, no, it's just not. It's hard, like writing jokes, and then if I'm sitting here with you in person and and I get a good energy from you, I can tell you like me, and then it's like, okay, thinking of funny off the wall things to say to try to get you to laugh and stuff. That's natural. I'm just kind of fishing around in the dark, right? But to like sit there and tell a joke and joke after joke, it's difficult. Right.
The way I look at it.
Can I tell you a joke?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have 2 jokes I ever wrote. Okay, so here, the first one. So I moved to Tennessee recently, and you know, I moved to Tennessee because I'd rather have trans fats than fat trans. And you know, more and more I realize I've got a lot in common with dogs.
All right.
For instance, I like black people, but I still kind of want to bite them.
Well, you like chocolate or something? You know, chocolate kills dogs, right?
Yeah, maybe that's why dogs get weird around them, right? They think they're chocolate.
That's funny. Yeah, dogs do. And I used to work for these guys from the Caribbean. Those are like these guys. The first guys I ever worked in and moving were these Caribbean guys, straight from like St. Lucia or somewhere like that. Yeah. But they were the toughest fuckers alive. And they would tell me, they're like, no. They're like, black people, it's because in where they're from, they feed dogs raw meat. And they basically keep them chained in the yard. There's no such thing as pets. So it's like this, it's like you don't pet another man's dog in a black country. Like you don't go, it's not a pet. So there's this natural built-in thing where they're like, this is going to bite me. So the dog just senses that off them. It's true, and it's, you know what I mean? It's like, obviously some black guys have fucking dogs, but it's like, it is also true that some of them do have a natural built-in fear, especially if they're from like St. Lucia or a country like that, because they don't treat them like pets there. They treat them like a guard dog.
Yeah,
so
it's like a biological inclination from, you know, memory, blood memory. I mean, it makes perfect sense.
But then why did my dog bark at them?
Well, you know, they say dogs can sense things, right? So if they have a natural fear, the dog's probably feeling that fear, and the dog's thinking, well, if you're afraid, then maybe you're a threat, you know, and it's probably just this, you know, Ouroboros, a snake eating its own tail. It's this self-fulfilling prophecy.
You should have seen my dog back before that sucker passed. He was a beauty. A car be driving by, be a Chinese guy, be sitting there. Car drive by, be a white guy, he'd sit there. Car drive by, be a native, he'd sit there. Car drive by, a black guy. I'm like, what the hell? How did you sense the fear so quickly?
Yeah, man.
Maybe it was the owner. So, all right. You drive a car or a truck?
I actually just got a car.
Nice.
It's a Toyota Corolla.
That's what I have.
Oh, yeah.
But I've got the SE.
Or
whatever the fuck, luxury edition or whatever the fuck it is. But it's literally nothing different. They just charge you $20,000 more.
Nice.
So I'm just a sucker.
I mean, you're not, because you got a Toyota, man. Like, why'd you get it? Why'd you get that?
Forever.
Yeah, same.
Forever, right?
Same.
I like the Toyota symbol too. It's like a cool word.
Yeah. It's for me. It's just all about my whole life. Every vehicle I've ever had was a beater.
Okay.
You know, I was always wondering, when am I going to get stranded? When is it going to break down?
Yeah.
And so we got this opportunity to put some money down and you know, finance a car.
Okay.
And we could have done something cheaper,
mm-hmm.
but it was like, I'd rather pay more and eliminate that thing that's been in my life. You know, that fear, that worry. I'd rather just remove it completely.
100%.
So, Toyota Corolla with 30,000 miles on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mine was had 100,000.
Yeah.
When I got it, but it's still 38 fucking grand.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. But they're nice.
It works.
I like them.
It works.
And I have a work truck. I have a work truck.
Okay.
I would have a truck normally, because I'm always building things, getting wood, and I'm a big scrapper. Like, I collect all kinds of, like, any material I can find, I grab.
Do you like a big truck or a little truck? Like a medium sized or?
Yeah, I'm medium. Small trucks suck.
That's what I'm getting this
point?
summer. To look cool.
Yeah.
That's why I'm getting it. And I'm like, here's my Ford Ranger. Huh? I'm from the internet.
I'm from the internet. But like big trucks, like my work truck, it's not my truck, but it's it's right over here. It's a 2500. It's a GMC Sierra.
I was gonna say, I grew up with a GMC. My parents had one.
Dude, it's got the full bed on it. Like, you don't even see those anymore.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's nice. I like it. It's a nice truck. I'm like blessed to be able to get to use it.
Yeah.
But man, I took it on a trip. I was in Alabama the other day, and we were in some city in Alabama. I think it was Birmingham, actually. And I had to like park in the city. Dude, oh my God. Like going to park the thing is a nightmare.
Like using it casually at all, it's like you almost got to be making money with it as you're using it, or it's like such a burden to be paying that much gas. That's why we didn't get a truck right away, because simply it was like, I figure if you have a truck, you better be using it to make money. It's like every time you drive it, you're picking up some scrap, you're doing something to make money with it. Yes. Or else you're walking around with a big old chainsaw to cut a birthday cake for no fucking reason.
Yeah, you know, I'm big on dumpster diving.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I love it, man. It's like, okay, now by dumpster diving, I let me clarify. I don't typically dive into the dumpster.
Or you're probably not getting all kinds of like fucking raw vegetables and stuff like that, no?
No, I actually get tons of food.
Nice, nice, nice.
But I'm obviously very selective about what I take. And
Yeah, yeah,
with
yeah.
animals,
Mm-hmm.
the cool part is, like you can see, I got a bunch of animals.
Nice. So that's how you kind of
And
feed them.
yeah, so when I find produce and stuff that's not all terrible,
Yeah,
I bring
yeah.
it back, and pallets of blueberries and peppers and whatnot, stuff that I
Wow.
wouldn't really eat.
Yes,
Um,
okay, okay.
I just
That's
throw it
very
to them.
admirable. It's very admirable to do that. And you know, we're sitting here saying all these conservative views and stuff. We're the real liberals. I don't
Yeah.
care what they say. I keep
Hmm.
joking about it in my comedy. I'm like, I'm a liberal. But
Yeah.
no, no, we are the real liberals. That's
Yeah.
the true reality. Because we're not conservative enough. It's like we might have conservative views, but real. You're there.
Yeah.
I thought maybe your phone died or something.
No. Did we hit the limit or something? I don't know what
That could
happened.
have been it. I don't know how it really works. I just keep going,
Mhm.
but we're at a fucking good part, those cocksuckers.
Sons of bitches.
That's so funny. Yeah, I don't remember what we were
I
talking
can't
about.
see you. I can't see you, but it doesn't really matter.
No, we can hear each other. That's cool.
Yeah.
And
But yeah,
so
you're right. Like the funniest part is, I was not raised to be conservative. I was raised with a liberal mindset, right?
yeah,
I, uh, I'm against LGBT. I'm against this multicultural cesspool. Like I'm against these things, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
at the
yeah,
end of the day, I I don't hate anybody. I respect that people think differently than me, and I'm not trying to stop anybody from doing what makes them happy. I care about people. If you're gay, I don't want you to. I think you're hurting yourself.
yeah,
I think you're making yourself sick spiritually and physically.
yeah.
I want something better for you.
Or
It's
at
not
least
that
a
I hate
choice.
you or I'm afraid of you. It's
Yeah, or
because
at least have a
I
choice
love
to
you.
get some fucking therapy to change it if you want to. It's like they're
Yeah,
like, nope, you
exactly.
can't get therapy to change. They're like, well, I don't want to be gay anymore. They're like, too bad, you got to be. Because you'd be surprised. An amazing amount of people that are gay when they're young and on drugs turn straight once they get off the drugs. Because it's
Yep.
like a lot of my fucking, not a lot, but people I grew up with who were gay, most of
Yeah.
them turned straight eventually. Most of
Yep.
them fucking like got off the crack and then were like, wait a tick.
Yeah. Like, hold on a second here. Wait a moment.
Yeah, but it does happen, and that's the part where it's like when you're too conservative, it's like you're giving the enemy too many fucking players. It's like you got to be understanding of people are sinners, and when they sin, well, sometimes that's going to be something you don't like because that's what a fucking sin is, and then it
Yeah.
becomes how strong are we to be able to forgive them? I can never forgive a pedophile, but you know I could forgive someone who fucking pimp slapped a girl. You know, so that just there's always levels to it, right? But it's
Yes.
just sometimes only God can forgive people too, right?
Yes. I think that there are certain things that are unforgivable, but I do believe that holding unforgiveness against anyone for anything is not good for you. And
Like we spoke about earlier.
it also does say in the Bible, when you pray, if you hold unforgiveness against somebody, then you can't be forgiven. So it becomes an exercise when it comes to something as horrible as like pedophilia, rape, murder, things like that. How can I forgive someone? How can I think of forgiveness for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think there's a value in attempting that. And I think but yeah, that's really important. And what you were saying too, like I'm like, they're like, oh, you gotta recycle. I don't recycle, but I do. I recycle more than people who recycle.
Exactly, because you actually recycle things that would be wasted otherwise.
Yes, they throw something in a bin and they go, oh, I'm a good person. I'm recycling. That plastic bottle goes straight into a trash heap or gets sent to another country to get thrown in the trash there. None of it's actually getting recycled.
Yeah, it gets turned into sandals in another country.
It's a scam all the way around. If you research it at all, recycling is a scam. But 100%. I recycle all the time. I take wood, I take things, I take food that was discarded, and I turn it into eggs. You know, it's.
Well, you know, that's because we grew up with reduce, reuse, recycle.
Exactly.
And you actually practice it.
I actually live that.
Exactly. Know? And see, the funny part is like a lot of what I'm doing right now by pushing harder with what I'm doing is to get people like us out there, because I really believe that the values we hold are good, and we're not like, because like if you want, like the way I see it is there's real fascists who would just be like, kill them all no matter what and never forgive them. That's what fascist is to me. It's like someone who never gives any room for someone's redemption, right?
Yeah.
And when you are a liberal, it's because you're trying to liberate them from their own sinfulness. So it's like you can't, you see what I'm saying, where it's like, anyways, I forgot where I was going. I'm getting mad now.
Well, the thing is, you gotta, for me personally, the way I lived before I got saved was terrible. And I look back at that and I had to learn to forgive myself. Right. Yeah. And it was hard for me to believe that God would forgive me.
Yeah.
And I do believe he's forgiven me. And if God can forgive me, then he can forgive others that are worth, or not as bad. And that's so, it's important. Forgiveness is a very important thing. There is and sometimes it's hard to do it for other people.
Yeah.
And then we can be selfish and do it for ourselves.
Yeah.
We can forgive them for ourselves. And that's what I did a lot with the COVID stuff, right?
Exactly.
Is I had to figure out a way to look at these people who I found so morally reprehensible and say, you know what? They don't know better. This world is everything they have, and they're afraid, and and to feel pity, to pity them, and forgive them through pity.
But yeah, I remember what I was saying now. Basically, like what I'm trying to do is like, I think the biggest psyop of all is like the psyop people like me and you will put on ourselves, where we think we can't be like in something, like in a music scene, in a comedy scene, in even Hollywood, in anything we choose to be in, because of we're like this. There's more people like us in there than we think, but it tries to keep us out as hard as it can, because we will be able to change things. Like I watched Woody Harrelson's interview with Joe Rogan. You would be amazed by how anti-vax and anti-pharmaceutical industry is. And I don't think he's there as a plant to trick people. And I think he really just doesn't give a fuck as an individual. His dad was an assassin. It's like, I think he really is. Like, I was walking around the movie sets being like, why is everyone wearing these? Like, I believe him.
Yeah, I saw that too. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I did see that part. And it's like, I do genuinely believe what he's saying. Like, he's not making this up. It's not a plan. No. It's not fake.
I don't think he's trolling, because it doesn't benefit him in any way. And it's just like a lot of people look at these celebrities like they're literal vampires, but they're just people that have made it a little bit more successful than you maybe think you could. You know what I mean? But it's like, they're no different than us, and we could be anything we fucking put our mind to. And we limit ourselves being like, well, none of them are based though. It's because they learn to dance the dance and they keep certain things inside, you know? And it's like, I think it's one of my jobs is to make a pathway into that world for people that think like us, because it's not right that the people who think right aren't allowed to be part of the fucking conversation.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love that. And it's very true what you're saying, because I've thought, I've limited my own self in that and go, like, maybe I could try to do this, or maybe I could try to do that. And I think, well, that'll never work, because they'll just pull up some video of me saying something.
Yeah.
And, I'll never make it too far because of what I've said, or, things I've thought. And, but that is very true. I have put limitations on my own success.
And the times have changed. It might have been true a year ago. the thought process. But when a guy like
Yeah.
Woody Harrelson goes out there and says literally everything we think,
Yep.
you're like, no, they can't stop me.
Yeah, and the mob, the pitchforks aren't coming out. No one reacted. We are in a different era right now, a different time.
People are waking up in a way of like realizing you can't fake existence. You know, it's like you can't pretend things as existence. You know, where it's like they were okay. It's like we gave them gay marriage. We were like, you get gay marriage. That's where they should have been like, thank you, and we're done. And that we would have done something we didn't really want to do, but they would have got a little, and then that would have been the end of it. But they're like, now we're gonna cut your kid's wiener off, and it's like, that can never exist, and all smart people know that now. Everyone's waking up to it in the sense of like, you can't go down that route. But timing's everything, right? It's sort of like, that's why what I'm doing right now is different than what I did during the pandemic. Because what I did during the pandemic was go as hard as fuck and just say what I believed fully. Now I'm going, I don't need to say what I believe to make art all the time, because some of my art's about things that are just, I think of. It doesn't have to be, these are my beliefs. These are my beliefs. These are my, maybe I want to make a story about some gay crackhead and write the story without any sort of like trying to prove this is good, trying to prove this is bad. Maybe it's just a story I wrote. You see, and it's no one's place to tell me, you can't make that story, it's homophobic. Or alternatively, you can't make that story because of the fact that, you see what I mean? It's like, no, anyone can make any story about anything.
Yeah. And, you know, it's funny is I pulled back the reins a bit and kind of, I'm more focused on, you know, I got a lot more going on. I got married.
Yeah.
We're going to get an acre of land here in the next
Nice.
couple months. And,
wonderful.
You know, we have hope of, there's a new business getting formed, and I'm going to be involved in the business. And
amazing.
So there's a lot of like really cool things kind of going on in my life. And I'm more focused on that kind of stuff. And I also don't feel the need, like during COVID, I felt, well, this is the time to say it because there may not be time in the future. And I felt like it was really needed. And now I feel like, well, a lot of people are waking up to this, and there's a lot of other people doing the work now too. Maybe I can relax and, you know, but I have my cape on the wall ready to put it back on. And
here's the thing, right? You know what? I was doing the same thing. I basically stopped doing comedy for a while because I was like, well, the fight's kind of over. But here's the thing. What I realized, I went, oh, you don't just pray to God when things go bad. You got to pray all the time. So we can't wait till things get bad to be ourselves, because there's another side of us that deserves to be in this world because we were strong enough to say something during those times. And what that person is it's like, you might not think you have anything to say anymore because you're not talking about that content, but you talking about dumpster diving, you talking about farming, you talking, doing Sean Shoots, all those things are things that could make you extremely successful. Possibly more than working for someone else.
Yeah.
Because each one of those things is a gamble on something that could literally turn into something. And again, I get it. Not everyone wants to live under that pressure. But it's a tool you have, because all men should have multitudes. Meaning you should not be one thing. Experts are ants. Experts are fucking bugs. We all should have a bunch of different tools in our belt, right?
Yes.
And not everyone has the tool you have to entertain.
I love learning new skills, producing things. One of my favorite things in the world is to make something and then give it to somebody. I've done that with many things, like eggs, right? Or raised my own chickens and you know, made the meat and then shared the meat with somebody. I've made moonshine before. I've distilled liquor before. And I just, you know, looked up how to do it and did my own little thing. And I didn't do it to make money or sell it or anything like that. I did it so I could hand it to somebody and go, hey, look, I made this. And then them go, what? You made this? And then they go, yeah, I made it. And they're like, how'd you do it? It's like, well, you do this, and you do that, and you can do it too. It's not hard. And then And
Yeah, yeah.
I live for those little things, those little check.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
do that. Check. I can do that. One thing I've done recently is I've got into reloading 12 gauge
Nice.
shells.
Nice. That's
So I
cool. That's a
bought a
cool trait.
reloader, and I've taken old spent birdshot shells and making them
Wow.
into buckshot.
Recycling once again.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. One of my
That's
favorite
awesome.
things is taking something that's been discarded and reusing it and giving it new life, new purpose.
I was going to ask you about that specifically because I was looking at your paintings, and do some of them have scraps in them?
Uh, yes and no. One recent painting I did I used like some roofing screws.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I had like I had a little I forget what you call it. Is it a palette or the thing you put your paint in to mix it up?
Yeah.
And it had these little cups in it, and they were all filled up with old acrylic paint. And then
Okay.
I popped them out, and they were like these little circles, like
All right.
round circles. And so I took those and glued them onto a painting and started doing that. You know,
Nice, nice.
with painting, it's always been I'm not good at it. I can't paint. Like I can't shade. I can't do depth. I'm not a good painter, but I like to paint because I know that, and I take it as a challenge to try to create something with zero skill
Yeah.
that someone else can appreciate and enjoy. And if I can make something with zero skill that somebody likes, then I think that's pretty cool.
You're a little bit better than you think.
Well,
I seen the psychedelic paintings. It's its own style, at least. You know how to stick to your style. You know how to, like, you might not be able to paint like you went to school and they taught you how to paint, but you know how to have theme and style. And I bet if I was on mushrooms and I looked at your paintings, I'd be like, oh, like.
I like to paint like I pretend I'm on acid when I paint.
And that's cool. That's what the Beatles did too. They weren't actually on acid when they made the music.
Yeah.
People are like, they were on fucking acid while making it. It's like, no, they weren't.
Yeah. It would have just been like a collection of like zoo sounds, you know?
No, that's awesome. So that's your style. You mainly do like that style, or do you try to like go into oil paint sometimes and do things like that, or you just sort of stick to that?
No, I like to just kind of start and see what happens.
Nice. That's awesome. And I noticed you actually were able to sell one of them recently.
Yeah, it was funny story. One of my favorite things to do with painting, and I don't really have. I'm kind of in a rural area right now, and we're going to be moving a little bit more towards civilization here in a few months. And maybe I can start doing this again. But I love going to a bar and hanging out at a bar, right?
Oh yeah.
I love just being around where people are at, and
I'm the
place
same way.
where people are also like not inebriated, but in a state of mind that leads them to be a little bit more open to interact.
Yeah.
And so I love being in that environment, and I love to go and I'll paint in that environment. And I'll sit if I find a booth, and I just sit there to myself, right? And it will bring people to you.
Wow.
And I love talking with people, obviously, right?
That's awesome.
And so it'll bring people to you. They'll talk about it. And I was doing that recently at this little diner in the middle of nowhere out in Tennessee. And so I was working on a painting, and a guy said, "Ooh, I really like that. Can I buy that from you?"
Wow.
And I was like, sure. Like, he's like, what do you want for it? I'm like, give me $20, bro. And he's like, sure. And he bought it off me. And I was like, cool. I like that one.
Wow. It's usually the thing you don't think is good. And then everyone's like, that's amazing. Like growing up songwriting, they would do that shit.
You see behind me?
Yeah. Is that your cow?
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. I thought it was a big cat. I'm like, I don't know what you guys got down there.
He knows we're talking
tigers
about
and lions.
Yeah.
Or is that more Texas?
She acts like a dog, honestly, because I have her with a dog, and cows usually don't like dogs.
Yeah.
But she's a baby, and we raised her with my dog.
Nice.
And she loves it. She loves my dog, and she acts like him.
Animals do start acting like each other when you raise them together, for sure.
Yeah, she has some serious like traits. Like it was the craziest thing when I made this. You might have saw pictures of it. I made this hay feeder for her,
Mm-hmm.
and when I gave it to her,
Yeah.
we joked and said it was her birthday present because she was a year old right around that month.
Yeah.
And so we had to pen her up because we had to take the fence down and put the feeder in, and then we put the fence back up. We let her out, and she went right up to it, looked at it, and jumped for joy. I'd never seen anything like it. I did
That's
not know
amazing.
that they were capable of that level of like presence and understanding.
Yeah.
And she literally she's
awesome.
like, she's saying she's hungry. She wants food. But she literally jumped for joy, came over to me, licked me, turned around and went back. Like she
That's
came
awesome.
and said thank you. And was just rubbing against it and running around it and super visibly excited and showing like gratitude.
That's amazing.
It blew my mind. I mean,
so you love animals too, right?
Oh yeah, I absolutely love animals. Mabel's like I really do love her because I don't have to put up a guard with her because I'm not going to eat her. You know.
Yes.
She's a milk cow, so she's part of our family, and I can really love her. With the animals that I'm going to eat that I'm raising, I have to put up a little bit of a guard. So, you know, it gets weird when you go to eat them.
No, of course, I understand.
If you love them, you know.
Because I hunted deer growing up, so I get it. But it's just because they're so majestic, you don't want to kill them because they look so beautiful in the forest. You almost shed a tear at the thought of it. But me, I love animals a lot. Like I've got like a psychic connection with animals in a way a lot of people don't. Like I'm basically like a police dog trainer when it comes to being able to get animals to do stuff. Like I don't have a dog anymore, but I have 4 cats and I have them trained like dogs because that's how intense I am. Like I made them my project, and I literally they sit, they come, if they're yelling, I go shh, and they be quiet. And it's just my ability to, and like a lot of people go like, "Why are you wasting your time?" It's like you don't even know what it's like because a cat is smarter than a dog. You just have to try harder to get it to do the thing. You have to sit it down 600 times in a row.
Yeah.
And then eventually it'll do it. You know? You gotta sometimes give him a little whack. You know, when he jumps on the counter. You know, sometimes a spray isn't enough. People won't understand that. They're like, "What? You hit your cat?" I'm like, "Do you know how animals are trained?" There's a physical, you are their pack leader, and now they respect you.
Exactly.
And I didn't fix any of my cats. So I have a male cat, a female cat, and a mother female cat. Like the mother had 2, and I didn't fix them. So they'll go through heat, right? Yeah. I've trained them to not make sounds when they go through heat. So they don't go, I go, and they be quiet.
That's the most annoying thing, that sound.
I train them to not do it though, right?
Wow.
Because what I believe in is that is them singing for love. So imagine we were stopped from singing for love, we would never have become what we are either. How dare anyone try to stop something from singing for love so that they're more comfortable? You see, like that's where I'm like, put the cat outside then. Don't have a cat inside. But I have to cut its fucking shit up so that I'm like, yeah, you sound like a eugenicist to me, cuz. Like, you want to fucking cut up a cat? Like, what's next? You gonna cut your son up? Like, I'm against all cutting. I'll kill a chicken and eat it. I'm not cutting my best friend because he's annoying.
Yeah.
And I understand people that do. Not everyone's as intense as me, but I don't believe in mutilating animals for my own fucking benefit for fun. So I'm a little happier.
I love it, man. You're very extreme.
I'm the most extreme person out there, but it's just I'm not an extremist. I'm actually I like to bring everyone together. I'm a peacekeeper. I like to try to bridge gaps between people that don't get along but that should, because the world would be a better place if we didn't have no more brother wars. You know, so I try to bridge gaps between liberals and conservatives, literally, where a lot of people don't have that in them. They couldn't do that, where I could, because I've been on both sides, literally. So it's like not a lot of people have that ability to stand in the middle and go, shut the fuck up. We got to fight the actual enemy, the Chinese.
Yeah, the Chinese is scary.
They're not even our fucking enemy. Yeah, the enemy's beyond the ice wall.
Yeah,
we're all the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we're all the slaves in this slave world. No, I'm the leader. No, I'm the leader. No, I'm smarter. No, I'm better. No, I can steal your girls. No, I can take your. It's just men butting heads all across the fucking thing.
Yeah,
but you can't let them butt you down, though.
You seem like a bully killer.
Yeah, but it's also because I have a lot of bully in me. But it's like I'm also a person with a lot of empathy, so I actually don't like seeing people's feelings hurt. It's like simply like that. I like to see people happy, and I like to try to bring people back from an edge of not feeling great, you know? Or else I wouldn't be a comedian. I'd be a fucking death metal singer.
That's the thing is, like, I've always, you know, when I was young, I had a bully. I think everybody had a bully, right?
Oh, yeah.
But then quickly I got big enough that I wasn't an easy target, so I didn't really have bullies in high school. And I have a thing where if somebody bullies someone around me, it makes me upset. It's an imbalance. And,
that's right.
It's not fair. And there's a lot of things that aren't fair that you just have to deal with, but that's something that's a choice. That's optional.
That's right.
It doesn't have to be that way. So when somebody imbalance makes me uncomfortable, it makes me unhappy, it steals my peace. So if you bully someone in front of me, I'm going to bully you to balance the scale. And and I just like, it's never sat right with me. I don't like bullies. I'm sure I've been a bully, but you know, it's definitely like one of my things. I just cannot stand. And you seem like the same way. You seem like
I'm a defender of the innocent. Oh yeah.
Yes.
And I was bullied more than anyone you'll probably ever meet, to be honest, because I've always been so alternative. Like I had blue hair when I was like fucking in grade 6, and like wore leather jackets and shit. I've been called a fag more times than any gay person you've ever fucking met, because in my town, people would drive by, faggot, queerbait, homo, every second of the day. I couldn't walk out my door without people harassing me, throwing shit at me, just because I was punk. That's how much of a hick town I grew up in, that I actually experienced like what people experienced in the 1930s. Like I literally was bullied. People would call my house, threaten to kill me. Every single bullying thing you can imagine, I've endured. They would cut open my locker, take everything out, write faggot in my locker. Every single thing. They'd take my bike, bring it in the shop, bend it all up into pieces, write faggot on it. Every single thing a bully would do, they did to me. But you know what I did the whole time? I went, and that made them real fucking mad. And that made them dig in harder, you know? And that made me act a little fucking more like the thing. I got even bluer hair. I started wearing a little even tighter clothes because I was like, yeah, you want to fucking... And I'd start carrying around a big bag filled with butcher's knives. So anytime guys would drive up to me, I'd go, yeah, I'm a fag, eh? And I'd show them my bag of knives. I'd be walking with my girlfriend, and a car would drive by with like 50-year-old adults, and they'd be like, wearing your girl's underwear, faggot? And they'd drive away.
Oh my God.
So I've gotten to see the whole thing. You see? Yeah. No one gets to say I can't say faggot. I've literally been called it hundreds of fucking times.
Well, the thing is, too, it's when you police speech, right?
Yeah.
You're the fascist. You're the type. I don't tell people what they can and can't say. You know, if I think what you're saying is in bad taste, I'll let you know.
Exactly.
You know? But I'm not going to say you can't say that. And when you tell me that I can't say a certain word because I'm a certain race, or because I'm a certain, whatever, I now have a duty to say that word.
That's right.
Because you're trying to enslave me.
That's right.
I'm trying to enslave you.
Exactly.
You're trying to enslave me. You're trying to control me.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to try to control you. I'm going to try to influence you.
That's right.
Out of love for you.
Exactly.
Because I care about you, because I want better for you. Right?
Exactly. I know, and that's what I'm saying. It's like the way I grew up, no one can ever tell me nothing. So it's like that's where it's like I'm the way I am, and you'd think the way I grew up and people treat me like that, I'd be the first person to defend the LGBT. You'd think.
Right.
But somehow I'm the one against. How does that? Oh, maybe there's something there. Maybe when everyone's yelling fag at you, throwing rocks at you, trying to kill you, what they're doing is saying, if you really want to be something, you're going to have to come through hell to be it. And it's like you need these fucking things to, if you want to be an individual in this world, this is what's going to happen to you. I got the harshest lesson of all. If you want to stand out, people are going to stamp you down. Mm-hmm. You see? But that's the best lesson I ever got. That made me so fucking strong at who I am that I haven't talked to my own fucking family in like 5 years. I don't even talk to people that I know. I just exist. Me and Yannicka, we just exist. We don't need any other people because I grew up when I was like fucking 12.
Well, there's one thing, if I think about you, and I never met you, but I do feel I know you. And when I think of Buddy Smiles, well, one, I always, around the house, I'm always singing, Mommy, I don't want to be the hangman anymore. Like that song, man, that hit me.
Do you know you asking for me to send you the music video of that a few months ago? Remember that?
Yeah.
On one of your accounts?
Yeah.
That's what influenced me to do that next Joker thing I did.
Really?
I was like, oh, someone likes that bit. Someone likes the Joker. I'm doing that again.
It was great, man. It really did. Like, it struck a chord with me. But when I think of Buddy Smiles, I think of a very strong man. I think of somebody I'd want on my side in a fight. I think of somebody who will tell the entire world to piss off. If he thinks something's right, there's nothing that would stop that man from saying that thing or doing that thing. And that's when I think of the outlaw Buddy Smiles, that's what I think of. I think of strength, I think of honor, and I think of integrity. And I'm just honored, man, to share a little part of your universe, a little piece in your story. Just honored to call you a friend. And when you started doing these videos, I saw Ryan on, and is Suburban Symbolism, is his name Ryan too?
No, it's James.
James, yeah, I knew that. Your name, your
I'm Ryan.
slave name. Ryan,
yeah. My Christian birth name.
yeah. But yeah, I saw them on, and I'm like, oh man, I was like, I want to go on. I want to do that so bad. And I was like, but I don't want to be that guy. And then you it was funny. You put that story up that said, if you want to have a chat like this.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so like instinctually liking anything I see.
Yeah.
I had liked it before I read that.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh shoot. Okay.
It was like a little troll in itself,
Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. I really wanted to do it anyways. I was like, I really hope he wants me on, but
it's a hard thing to bridge. No, because everyone that I would talk to anyone, but that's not why I talk to you. But it's just more or less like it's a hard bridge to gap because I'm also a person that doesn't want to be fucking rejected. So if I ask someone to do it and they're like, fuck you, fag, I'm like, now I have to kill you or something? Like, what do I do now? So it's like that. Yeah. I thought of that and I was like, this is a good middle ground where it's like, if you don't want to be on it, I'm not offended. I don't give a darn. You have a life. You don't want to be on a thing where a guy says stuff that's offensive. I get it. But then at the same time, I wanted to give like a little thing where maybe someone could go, yeah, I might want to, you know, and that's, I got like 3 or 4 other folks.
That was a great way to go about it. Did you have some more people like it, and you got some?
Oh yeah, I've got about 5 or 6 more people lined up.
Awesome.
And then if I can't get more people, then I'm just figure I'll just keep cycling back through everyone, and we'll just build more things. Like that's sort of my plan, to have more repetitive sort of, you know, people come on every, you know, in a year it might be like you come on twice, but that sort of cycles out like 20 people or you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's just how I'm trying to function it. I sort of try to do it like Theo's, where he does like one talking, one fucking interview, because it's like a lot of work to write a full hour of jokes once a week.
Yeah, man, it's impressive. I've watched I think I've watched everyone you've done so far.
Thank you.
It's great because I'm always listening to, you know, like I like music, but as I'm older, I more so just want to like listen to people talk.
I like talk radio.
Yeah, and so whenever you put one up, I love putting it up and just listening to it, and it's, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, I have friends that do things and I'm supportive and I'm going to go listen to it no matter what. But like you're actually making something of quality that I do enjoy and that I can put on, and I'm not like, okay, I got to let it play out because I got to be supportive. No, I listen to the whole thing start to finish every time, because, you know, you're talented. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing, if you ask me.
That means a lot. But if anyone's watching and they want to just play it and let it play out, go ahead, because I need more views.
Yeah. Come on.
But anyways,
we gotta get him there, man. We gotta get Buddy going. And I was thinking about like, okay, what can I do? I gotta do something funny. You know, I was like thinking of little bits and stuff, and I was like, oh, I'll pull a gun on him. That sounds good.
But no, I'm coming down there eventually. Don't get it twisted. I'll be down there eventually, and we'll do one of these in person. I guarantee it.
Brother,
it's going to happen.
I have a short list of people that from Instagram that I want to, that like I really, really hope, I pray about it, that I get to meet someday in person and spend some time with and get to know them on that personal, in real life level. And you're at the very top of the list. If you're ever down in this area, we will make accommodations for you. You'll have a place.
Thank you, brother.
We'll shoot a ton of guns.
Yeah.
We'll I don't know, smoke a doobie or whatever it is you like doing.
I don't need to do anything. I just like fucking coffee if I need to, you know.
Yeah, we'll drink some raw milk.
I haven't had. I'll drink one sip of raw milk and I'll be like healed, because Canadian food is so fucking depleted of nutrients.
Same thing here in America, man. If you want good stuff, you got to grow it.
No, but straight up, raw milk is illegal in Canada.
That's
across the board. Like they'll come to your house and kick your door in if you have.
That's so crazy, man.
But heroin's legal.
Is it really?
Pretty damn closer than anywhere else other than Amsterdam. But
that's true.
I'm gonna have to go soon because I'm literally about to run out. I'm gonna run out of batteries.
No problem, man. This is great. I want to do a longer one.
That's awesome.
I want to do a poem. Can I do a poem?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. This is called Mind Bombs. I wrote it in like when I was like 20, like 15 years. Okay.
Let's hear
it. Icy cold and frigid blast, scurry men to tend the mast, ship is tossed, and hull gives in to wash away these men of sin. Damned we do, and damned we don't, for what we will and what we won't. Sorrows, morrows, sounding scream of lost or hounding, drowning dreams. Glowing orange, these twisted beams reflect in eyes of steaming fiends. Bleeding means of self-destruction, life careened without instructions, corporations without corruptions. What a hopeless, worthwhile dream. If I could, I would pull the wool from your eyes, but we're blind, hence divine, like pigs in their sties.
I mean, I think that's where we're going to have to end it. That's just, we can't do it. I have about friggin' all the questions left, so we'll just have to do another one soon, but...
Awesome.
Poet, artist, farmer, Sean, thank you for doing this with me.
Brother, my heart goes out to you.
Have a good one.
You too, man. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
I feel like that was my best one yet. Don't you agree? Best interview at least. You can tell magic's happening when you can barely get to the questions. Which I use to try to strike up a conversation more than simply flesh out a person. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in and listened this far. You're my hero. If you want to appear on The True Reality, DM me and I will schedule you in. Love me or hate me. Let's talk in 5, 4, 3, 2. Thanks for tuning in.
Sensational. Sing your heart out.
Get mad!
Be happy.
You have the right to remain silent.
Shut up!
Anything you say will be used against you. Against you. Against you. Against you.
That's the true reality.